Thank you, Nick. That was beautiful. As many of you know, or some of you may know, this past summer, I had the opportunity as a member of the Board of Trustees of this church to attend the Russell Lockwood Leadership Training School that was held in Alta. This is somewhat, if you will, a report of the underlying themes that I have summarized. And of course, this focused on the area of church vision, which is, as the board will tell you, is somewhat of a passion of mine, and I continue to remind them of that. So, in the past month, we have shared our journey through the seasons of Hanukkah, Advent, and our own Unitarian Universalist celebration called Chalaka. We have welcomed the return of the warming sun in our solstice celebration, and last week we shared in the beloved traditions of Christmas through the remembrances of some of our congregants. Truly, these holidays, these holy seasons, are times of ritual and traditions that connect us to our past, but invite and compel us to look forward. Well, we have one more to go. And with the new year quickly upon us comes the tradition of looking over the past year and determining what we want for the coming year. For the individual, that usually takes the form of a resolution. Now, I'm sure that I'm not alone in this, in saying that I struggle with resolutions. I don't like them at all. In the words of Dr. Seuss, not a bit. The commitment to lose weight or give up an undesired habit or another is usually broken and forgotten in a few weeks. More often, in my case, a few days. I guess one would say that I am given to giving up resolutions for Lent. As a church and a faith community, thinking in terms of resolutions doesn't really work or resonate, at least for me. But what we can do is take stock of the past and look to the new year and even the years ahead. We can contemplate the direction we are headed as a community of faith. We can decide to articulate and affirm our church vision. Now, in thinking of a title for this homily, I chose deliberately the question, got vision, in a vain attempt to sound catchy, but to also challenge you to think about the vision that you have for this church, for this family. Do we have a vision for the future? And if so, what is that? This becomes a continual question throughout the year as we make programmatic decisions and budgetary choices, and will be an issue that hopefully we will all face as we move to elections for board members in the coming year. Maybe we should look back a bit and answer the question, what is vision? Let's spend a moment or two and think of what vision is and what it means to us and what it means to have vision. The Oxford Dictionary has 4 definitions of vision. The first is the faculty or state of being able to see. Okay. Another definition describes vision as the experience of seeing someone or something in a dream or a trance or as a supernatural apparition. Now, this might be getting closer to what we mean as a vision. Certainly, one might say that there is a spiritual element to this kind of vision, and some of us do come from spiritual traditions for which that definition resonates. And this may approach the sense of vision as we listened in our first reading, the responsorial reading today. Vision may also be used to describe a beautiful apparition, as in a vision to behold. Of course, this has sometimes been Jeff's reaction, my partner Jeff's reaction, when he sees me in the morning after a night of grading papers working on my second pot of coffee. Another definition of vision, also from the Oxford Dictionary, is the ability to think about or plan for the future with imagination and wisdom. Embodying a sense of spirituality, there is a more practical side to this definition that lends itself to the spiritual aspects of church life, but also to the basic function and effectiveness of an organization, often expressed in terms of a vision statement. This, in essence, is an articulation of the intended direction an individual or an organization needs or desires to go in order to fulfill its obligation or mission. And often, a vision statement is used interchangeably and sometimes confused with a mission statement. So let's talk about the difference. An organization's mission is their stated purpose for being, and I refer to the mission statement on the front of your order of service as an example. So it is a stated purpose for being. On the contrary, a vision statement is an articulation of how and in what way the organization needs to go to move towards that mission. So in this way, a vision for a church is directional and time-oriented. It's moving forward. So why is a vision important? And why do we bother? The book of Proverbs tells us that where there is no vision, people perish. Now that may seem kind of harsh, particularly in this day, to our modern ears. I know many people who don't seem to have any particular direction or focus, no real or at least well-articulated vision, but they seem to do okay. But in a more harsh and brutal and unforgiving society, say 2,000 years ago, or maybe even 100 years ago, if you didn't have a clear vision of the job at hand, if you didn't plant crops at the appropriate time, arrange the harvesting at precise time, if provisions were not gathered and stored for the winter, or during times of famine, bad things did happen. People died. Even with the best planting, say a late freeze, a drought, or even heavy rain, this could spell disaster for people, and yes, they could die. A clear vision and planning for any number of contingencies was essential for survival, and still is to this day. Now, from the standpoint of an organization, a vision or clear sense of purpose is only important if that organization is to go anywhere or do something meaningful. Take the oft-quoted story from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. In her travels, Alice comes to a fork in the road where she has to make a decision. So she turns to the Cheshire Cat and asks his opinion. "Which road should I take?" she asks. And the cat responds, "That depends on where you are going." Alice says, "I don't know." And the Cheshire Cat response is, "Then it doesn't matter which way you go." Again, many individuals and organizations meander without a sense of where they are going or even desire to go. Often they are caught in repetitive actions or behaviors with the thought, but this is the way that it's always been done. These organizations and individuals don't fare so well in adapting to change and stress. So let's turn to the function of church vision. And what are the things that a church vision can do? What is the process in determining the vision of the church? And what are the benefits in developing and articulating that vision? First of all, a church vision is not made in isolation. A board of trustees cannot by themselves establish the vision of the organization, or in this case, our church, without significant input from the congregation. To attempt to do so would be foolhardy and doomed to failure. There has to be a discussion, a sharing, and then more discussion. This is the conversation that matters, as proclaimed by Wheatley in today's reading. As far as possible, a church vision should represent a collective view of possibilities that acknowledges and honors the past, but speaks to the future in a way that is congruent with our identity and values. A clearly defined vision allows the church to focus on priorities. The natural process and discussions can provide a sense of strength and cohesiveness as the job is clearly defined. as we decide what we have covenanted to do. Down the road, a well-articulated vision also provides a standard to determine how we are doing in meeting our goals and moving towards that mission. While there are clear advantages to a vision and developing a vision statement, there are also challenges that are inherent to the envisioning process. A vision is based on dreams, hopes, and aspirations of the entire congregation, and the final vision needs to reflect sometimes competing dreams, and this can create a difficulty. Vision is about the future, and there is an inherent dissatisfaction with what currently exists. We're always moving forward. That is to say, a vision is all about the future and all about change. And change for some of us does not come easy. Developing a vision exposes the future and opens the possibilities for conflicting and competing visions. The process of envisioning opens those differences for discussion and consideration. So, visioning takes courage. As in our reading, we will need to be brave enough to start the conversation that matters. This courage will require us to bring our Unitarian Universalist principles to bear. First, in honoring the worth and dignity of others, including their opinions and ideas when these may compete with our own. So let's turn to that rhetorical question. Do we have vision? The title of my talk today is, of course, a play on the advertisement for milk. And it is rhetorical, because, of course, I believe we have vision, although we may not be able to articulate it clearly. We have great dreamers and great visionaries in this congregation, individuals who have made a difference for our church and our community. First, take the organizers of this church, who years ago laid the foundations for the presence of an organization dedicated to the principles of social justice and liberal religious thought in this community. Also consider later visionaries that took the challenge to purchase this building at its present site. Rather than building on land that we owned, it would have been much easier to have made that decision to build an entirely new building. It was determined that this is where the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ogden needed to be. This is where we can do the most good. This was a vision consistent with Unitarian Universalist values and our mission. Take the visionaries who in 2005 saw and answered the need for a haven for LGBT youth that is today Outreach. Through that vision, the program has grown, serving as a model for similar programs throughout the country. It has also grown locally with satellite programs recently opening in Logan, Tremonton, and Clearfield. Over 350 young people are served through this program today. And services have been extended to provide much needed services and resources to homeless youth. Now turn to our worship ministry. These are visionaries who saw the need and took a chance and implemented intergenerational worship in our weekly services. Today, through this envisioning, our young people participate actively and more actively and act as ministers and stewards in our weekly worship. The vision of our worship team continues every week in worship services that are meaningful and fulfilling. I'd like to acknowledge some visionaries, some individual visionaries, individuals like Josh Palmer, who envisioned the need for greater dissemination of the good things that happen within this community. Through his efforts, the weekly sermons and homilies are made available on YouTube and Facebook, reaching members who can't attend for whatever reason, as well as to individuals who are interested in the Unitarian Universalist message, but maybe want to just get a flavor of what goes on within these walls. The envisioning process is underway for social justice as that committee is being reconstituted and ideas being generated under the direction of our social justice chairs, Shell Peterson, and Julianne Waters. The list goes on and on for those working the various ministries of the church, including religious exploration, membership, building and facilities, and yes, even finance. So yes, we've got vision. To wrap up and to close, I offer you the challenge that moving into the new year and beyond, let's continue the conversation that really matters, and move forward together as a community of faith. May we dream that dream together. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I wish you all a wonderful, joyous, and prosperous, and visionary new year. May it be so, and blessed be.